Hey everyone, Discney Cortano here, the internet's busiest rap battle fan. And today we are reviewing Dilly's Mr. Peanut versus Kool-Aid Man. This battle is a remake of one of the first reboot battles that came out for Dilly, and I think that this project is kind of just that. It is pretty much just a soft remake of the original bonus battle done as, I guess, a full battle now. The writing, I would say, is pretty catchy. I think there were only a couple lines with a single syllable rhyme, which for a lot of people can be difficult to do while still sounding well, myself included. And I also think that the structure of the battle is pretty solid. It feels a lot longer than what it actually is, which I will say in this case that's a compliment. And the battle itself is pretty comprehensible. There's not a line that doesn't make sense to me as someone who, doesn't know much, if not anything at all, about these characters. I will say that a couple of the jokes come off a bit corny at times. I think it's the type of humor where it's very like, hey, this is where you laugh, where it's like, obvious moment to catch the viewer's attention. It's never worked for me personally. The examples of that in this battle being the ERB reference, I thought wasn't needed. The which is the best thing reference was definitely not something that I think this battle needed. The ending gag is fine. I think, it doesn't make sense for one, because Dilly doesn't do who won, who's next. So I don't know why that's a thing. But yeah, it's a bit corny, which again, if that's something that just came up on the fly, that's fine. I'm not gonna dock, massive points for it. The main line that I think of when I think of like just very corny is the fruity Monopoly drip line. I think we as a community are above calling things fruity as a genuine insult. And if you try to say it isn't a genuine insult, the battle very much treats it like a genuine insult. So I'm not gonna try to, hear you out much on that. I think, oh, you're fruity. Like, even me saying it right now to you should be like an indicator of the fact that, like, don't use that as a genuine diss. I would hope that you're better than that. And to zoom out a bit, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I feel like this project lacked direction. It feels like the only goal was to just do this battle again, but better. Which I'm not gonna say you can't do that. I myself have done that before with Curry versus Galactus and Tommy Wiseau versus Jay Gatsby. That's another one from DRB. But the skill gap between those two battles are so massive and so different that I think it's warrant doing. And while you could say that for the Dilly battle, of course, I've rewatched the original, and it is certainly an improvement. I feel like the difference in skill gap and the difference in ability is honestly not that much different, especially if you want to keep the original up. If you're considering both the original and this remake, parts of your series, which I'm not sure if Dilly does. But I earnestly think that maybe this remake wasn't needed right now. Maybe you could have waited a bit more to do something when there's a substantial gap between your quality then and your quality now. Which I'm not saying there isn't. Dilly is obviously better. But I feel like it's not at that kind of point yet. And part of that is the fact that the original battle has lines that get moved over to this new one. Again, not to draw from DRB, but when we did Phoenix Wright versus Atticus Finch, we uploaded the original audio, and when we went to remake it, we got rid of the original audio. We don't consider it as part of the series history, even though we reused like a considerable amount of lines. And it's very difficult. I'll cap off this section with a self-admission of when I did something like this, and it was bad, was when I did Chiaki vs. Diva vs. Pokimane, when my entire goal was not to do anything really new, maybe a 1v1v1, but my main goal was to just do the matchup of those three characters, but better from the other versions of the battle. And I felt like that ultimately led to the battle's failure, in my opinion, was that it didn't want to be anything other than this, but good, which I think is a big problem with this project. Let's move on. Let's move back to some positives. On the audio side, I think Feld has honestly a pretty solid performance. He's kind of just rapping in his own voice, but like he has a good energy to it. He has a fun energy to it, which I do like. Kenny Freestyle, I believe, has a good impression and great energy. I do think he's mixed a bit strange, as in I can't quite make out what he's saying every now and then. As in, like, I literally tried to listen to the battle without the lyrics on my first time, and I could not make out like half of the Kool-Aid Man lines, which could be on my end, but I still think that I think we've heard a couple complaints about this battle's mixing being a bit weird, so I think I'm justified in that. The beat fits the matchup and the vibe of what the battle wants to be. I do think the beat is a bit boring despite all that. I don't love all the instruments it has, but I understand that, especially because of this remake, you really wanted to use the beat from the original, so that's fine. But I think that would have also been a flaw of the original battle as well. On to what might be the best part of this battle is the video. I think this video goes heavily underrated in the community's like view of it in general. This video is essentially fully animated with Grassman and Hector really delivering their chops. All the animation feels, you know, pretty smooth, pretty good to look at. It fits the style of the characters, and yeah, there's just a lot going on that I think this video is pretty well done. It's up there for animated battles, and I think that part of the battle goes really unnoticed by a lot of people, and I do think that should be given a lot more attention. So yeah, the video of this, absolutely phenomenal, honestly. I think the best way to describe this battle is that it's a pretty solid meal, you know, that you get served and you could eat and you could be fine with. You just wish it had a little more spice to it, a little more flavor, especially again with such a phenomenal video. I really wish that Dilly pushed the core parts of the battle to really match that sort of creativity, but it feels like the core battle itself is almost playing it safe at times. Dilly has a lot more experimental projects and that are way cooler. Even his less experimental projects can still be pretty solid. I'm not sure why this one in particular just kind of feels like it's playing it a bit too safe in terms of the core battle. Overall, I believe that this battle is probably a solid 6. Transition. Did you give this battle a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can watch. Hit that up or hit the link to subscribe to the channel. Destiny Core Tenno. Forever.